Now, I think it's one of the most anticipated panel discussions because this is one of the most discussing points among the tech community especially because, you know, we have thriving tech industry, we have all the tech companies, we have brilliant minds here, but where is our digital transformation? So now we have panel discussion about digital transformation of the island. The title of the panel discussion, Bridging the Digital Gap, Cyprus Tech Sector as a Catalyst for Change. I would like you all who are now chatting a bit, let's take a seat or move from the area of the stage so it would be more clear what we are saying. So I would like to discuss amazing gentlemen to our stage. Please welcome Nicodemos Damianou, Deputy Minister of Research, Innovation and Digital Policy of Republic of Cyprus. Applause. Where is our warm welcome for the Minister? Sergey Kostevich, CEO of ASBIS and our TechIsland board member. Andreas Neocleous, CEO of CYTA and our TechIsland board member. And moderator for the panel discussion, Gerasimos Ntouskas, board member of KPMG.
Thank you. It's a bit noisy, actually, if we can give some attention to our panelists, because we have great things to discuss. Once again, welcome to this very important and interesting panel. We have with us today the government, Dr. Nicodemos Damianou, the Minister of Digital Policy and Innovation, which is setting the pace and all the actions within the country to indeed bridge this gap. We have Mr. Andreas Neocleous from CYTA, a technology firm anymore that is transforming its DNA to a new era. And of course, Mr. Sergey Kostevich, representing ASBIS, the CEO and chairman of ASBIS, from the private sector to discuss how the private sector see the things. If you allow me, gents, I will start with our minister to discuss and share with us the current status of the country's digitization program, the roadmap, the actions, and everything that is happening towards becoming a true tech island as a country.
Thank you very much. I hope you have plenty of time because this is a very broad question.
We do as much time as you need.
Thank you. So, thank you everyone. I'm happy to be, and thank you to TechIsland for this invitation. It's refreshing to be in this lively and very noisy place. I'm actually getting a bit older for the buzz, but I'm very excited about the prospect. I think this event is testament to the fact that the tech industry, the innovation industry, the startup industry, why not, is picking up in Cyprus. So let's start with Vision 2035, maybe.
Yes.
And you know, when you see it from a political standpoint, talking about vision, it's usually regarded as offering promises, but still, I think whether you are the government or any other organization, any other entity, you need to have a vision. You need to know where you want to go. So Vision 2035 for us, for the government, for the country, is indeed an ambitious long-term goal that has a very strong digital element in it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's important to know, and also it's important to think and to consider the fundamental that when talking digitization is not a project. You are not here to deliver a system and then let it run. So remember that Vision 2035 has the element of ongoing viability in it. So with that in mind, let me try and break it down for you.
Yes, please.
Give you a summary, maybe the highlights of how we see digitalization for the government. So for us, the digital agenda is a puzzle of various dimensions, various components. Number one is e-government. That's what most of us understand. That's what most of us expect. Digital services for the citizens, digital services for the professional, for the business, so that I don't have to stand in line to a customer citizen service bureau every time I want to do something, every time I want to receive a service from the government, following cumbersome manual processes. So that's dimension number one. And in that respect, I have to be brief, but we can come back to it. We have already announced a couple of initiatives. One is the new government portal, a truly cloud-based, our first in the government, open source initiative. Okay, that's number one. Then an application, we call it Digital Citizen. Most countries call it e-wallet or ID wallet. Number three is the Digital AI Assistant. I've sat in the audience of a number of panels, and all I heard today was AI. Okay, so AI assistant is the third component, and the fourth is our Cyprus EID, okay, electronic signatures. So that's e-government. Now, an extension of that, and that's the second piece of the puzzle, is the large-scale vertical projects that we are currently running in order to digitize, to transform, or to modernize various sectors of the government or of the economy. And I can mention a few.
Yes.
Town planning, the road transport department, the tax department, the education reform. My fellow minister was on stage a couple of minutes ago. Social insurance, e-justice. We have to talk about e-justice. It's still a target for us. And also Smart Cyprus. The deadline, by the way, is tomorrow after a number of delays.
No extension.
No further extensions to that. And that's more of a horizontal platform-based initiative.
Correct.
So that's number piece puzzle or number two. And then this is what we are trying to deliver, but at the same time we realize that if we want to achieve this goal of sustainability, of truly creating a digital government, a digital country, we need to also invest in our backbone infrastructure, okay? So we are starting this project this year at last that we call Government Enterprise Architecture, which is set to modernize our backbone technology engine, okay? That is based on key principles that we have defined. And I'm gonna just walk you through it. One is ask once, store once, move away from siloed databases, siloed systems, siloed processes. Number two is cloud first. We need to move to the cloud as a first option. Number three is security by design. And then open data and standardized components. CY login, CY connect, CY pay, CY sign, and so on, so that we make the architecture as uniform as possible, okay? So that's what we are doing, and that's the core of the digital agenda.
Okay.
I know I'm taking a bit longer, but,
No, it's okay.
but just to complete the puzzle,
Yes, it's important.
that's not where it ends when you talk about the government.
Correct.
You need to at the same time create an environment that is conducive to business and technological developments, to further advancements, to building startups, okay? So that's also part of the digital agenda. We don't separate the two. And that comes by ensuring that you embed digital skills in our workforce, in everybody really, in terms of basic digital skills, attracting and retaining talent, okay? I heard the discussion before about education, and AI came up again. So how do we enable our new people our youngsters, our young generation, our workforce to be digitally enabled. That's one dimension. Connectivity across the island, so infrastructure. I'm sure Andreas can talk more about that, but I want to thank CYTA and Andreas for standing right next to the government in terms of trying to be the first country, actually, that's what we anticipate by the end of 2025, which will have high-speed internet connectivity, both in terms of 5G, which is already in place, but also in terms of fiber optic gigabit connectivity. Okay, so that's also an enabling factor. And then you have the enablement of the businesses, pushing the businesses to invest in technologies and emerging technologies, to be more exact. At this point, the research and innovation ecosystem also comes into play. Okay, and we have significant growth of that ecosystem. Okay, over the past 10 years. We went from literally infancy to having the structures in place to be able to be part of the strong innovators of Europe. However, the challenge now is how do we move that ecosystem into the next stage of maturity? How do we turn the research results into innovative products and into startups? Okay, so I think that's the juice of it, and I'll stop here, maybe. There's food for thought for my fellow panelists, and then we can come back.
Nicodemos, thank you very much.
Thanks.
I think you gave a great overview of what is happening in becoming a truly digital, let's say, state, especially from the point of view of the citizen, from the point of view of enterprises, from the point of view of the startups and the innovation ecosystems. It's really, let's say, very good to hear this from the minister and listening that there is a plan in motion, that it's near to come and grasp all these things. And thank you very much, because I'm sure this is not an easy task and you need to mobilize lots of stuff. Please, if you can, lower down, because it's not easy for the panelists to concentrate, if I may. I will pass the floor to Mr. Kostevich, who is coming from the private sector. Hearing the minister explaining the vision, explaining the actions, embracing the change, how do you see it from the private sector perspective? What do you anticipate from the government in order to make the ecosystem, let's say, attractive?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Look, great thing that we do have e-government services in Cyprus already for a while. And through journey which started from Ariadne, transformed to egov.cy, there are more and more services. If I say more than 150 services available, maybe more now. And great things been done, single login for all government services, regardless of ministries, because in the past, you have to register individual, and your family name and name could be different and not recognized by between ministries. Single payment system, right? There are many things. I am user of multiple services, and yeah, we talk with other users. And respectively, however, what we see, we face no unified interfaces, completely different UI of services of different industries, which drives very confused user experience, right? On one hand, we can say that by digital economy and social indexes, 63% of Cypriot citizens use e-government solution. Nice statistic. But what they use is they use bits and pieces, because there are bits and pieces of well-done services and not so on. But so respectively, from perspective of citizens, perspective of businesses and residents and tourists, we are tourist island as well, right? So the services must be citizen-centric and business-centric. Meaning, and I'm glad to hear that you take care of interfaces already, And that's what needs to be taken care. There are challenges with the platform. However, if I look on competitive edge of Cyprus, because you understand where are you when you compare with others, right? And we, a company, we employ people from come to Cyprus from 30-something countries. Other members of TechIsland as well. We attract talents from all over the world. And these guys compare what they face when they come here, and they say they get used already that e-government services, utility. It saves their time, etc. I give you another example. We talk already for a while about e-signature and electronic ID. Guys, it will boost our economy. We delay and delay. So not we not TechIsland actually. But I'll give you an example. Some years ago, I'm not talking about developed countries of Europe, Kazakhstan. We do, through one of our retail business units, 500,000 transactions every year with consumers. In the past, we had to sign printed contracts. It took us 20-25 minutes. Multiply 500,000, huh? After e-government being implemented, we reduced not only timing to 5 minutes, times. Imagine how much time we save of hours, cost of resources, etc. And we reduce, we don't have any more these piles of papers, which you don't need to know where to hide them even, because you have to store it for years. But also, question of fraud. E-signature reduces fraud significantly, to get accompanied with EID, of course, right? So that's what we want as a businesses. Services for, good services for our employees and for citizens in Cyprus overall, and not only on some fragmented parts of e-government services, but unified. We island, with many tourists coming, different languages. We don't see issue to create, you talk about AI. We made a demo a few months ago, AI engine and translation on the go. So the user can either speak to computer or type and search in his own language and get answer back from e-government front end on their language. Great. And it's done. We showed the demo. We know that the real project will take some months. And you know what? Doesn't matter what technologies government will select, because you need to go through tender. What we care about functionalities. And that will make Cyprus even not just like others. No, we have possibility to be one of the best and top in Europe, which will provide and comfort of living and boost the economy. I'm optimistic about that. I know your challenges. I know a fraction of your challenges. I'm already shocked, but yeah, we are ready to help.
Well, thank you. Please, Nicodemos.
Just following up from this applause, I cannot, challenge you on the issues that you raised, and I'm glad that I have an ally sitting next to me. I knew it already, but now it's out in the open, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Nicodemos. The good thing with Mr. Kostevich closing is the optimistic note. Given all these challenges, and I'm sure the government is working to resolve all this, still there is optimism that we can make it. We are in the right traction in truly becoming what the industry wants.
We can also easily lose the pace if you don't care now.
Of course.
Now.
Yeah. Excellent. Let's hear also the view from CYTA, a telco organization, semi-government, but at the same time a technology firm. that is playing a critical role in this digital transformation journey of the country. How do you see this role? How do you, let's say, helping the initiatives of the government and the private sector in coming together?
Going to your question, Gerasimos, I think I'm sitting at the right seat here between one of the largest tech companies in Cyprus of the private sector and the minister who is responsible for the digital policy of Cyprus. So this is where I think the company that I represent sees itself. It is a very difficult job that the minister has, extremely difficult, and it is a job that his predecessors have not taken to a point where we can say that we are at a good stage right now. There are many reasons for this, but I think that there are 2 or 3 ingredients in any food when you cook that you need to have. And if you don't have them, there is no way that the food is going to be edible. One of the ingredients we already have in the last 12 years since 2011, we have a booming tech sector in Cyprus. The private sector in Cyprus is now offering a whole lot of tools, facilities, possibilities that we never thought possible in the past. Another ingredient is the governmental political will to actually prioritize and make a focus part of its strategy, the digital transformation. We didn't always have that. We may have thought many times that tourism is everything, or maybe financial services, etc. I think right now we have a government that understands the importance of the tech sector and is listening to the minister, not just now, but in many meetings we've had. I believe that there is a vision which is not just a political vision, it's also a business vision for the country. Correct. Now, there is a big gap between the government and the private sector. It's a huge gap. The government is moving in different ways. There are laws, regulations. There is a system that doesn't encourage taking risks. True. Everybody is afraid to make a mistake. You see that right now in the news, there are big contracts that the government has signed, the previous governments probably have signed before, billion-euro projects that are going to end up in the courts.
This is the situation, it's happening.
So people in general in the government, they are afraid to take risk. They are trapped in very slow, cumbersome processes to select partners and take decisions. And the private sector is thirsty to move. Now, if we don't provide this speed that this private sector expects, we will lose our competitiveness as a country. Now, this is where we believe we can help.
Correct.
We are a technology company and we understand very well the concerns of the private technology sector. But we are also a government company. We have changed our laws, our regulations, our processes to be able to bridge this gap. We are much more flexible than the core government.
True.
But we have also the same priorities as the government. We prioritize the country. We don't prioritize our own profits. And this is where we believe this gap can be bridged by companies like us. I'm not saying it's only CYTA. It could be other companies that understand and can offer this. We already did it. The examples that the minister mentioned before, the 5G and fiber to the home rollouts that are actually going to put Cyprus on top of Europe in terms of connectivity. This is something we should all be proud of, that Cyprus is going to be #1 in connectivity, and also a lot of other projects that we're doing. We are not doing them just looking at the business case for CYTA, but we are looking at a business case. And this is the business case of Cyprus. Because we believe that if Cyprus' economic situation improves, the benefits will come to everyone. It will come to CYTA, it will come to ASBIS, it will come to every tech company on the island if we improve the economy of Cyprus. And that's our target. And I leave it here to allow for...
Thank you, Andreas. It's important because you are actually stated very correctly. Your mission is to bridge this gap. However, this bridging, listening to you, expressing your views, it comes with challenges. It comes with obstacles, which some of them have already mentioned, either from a private or the public sector. Changing of legislation, changing of mindset, etc. Coming back to the minister, who has explained to us the vision, implementing the vision, implementing the action plan, what are the challenges that we need to go through? What we need to change, and how we can all work together in achieving this plan?
So where do you want me to start? No, I'm kidding. I have to start with an admission. I think we are historically, traditionally, we are good at designing strategies maybe, or signing MOUs, but our track record in terms of executing against those strategies is not great. Okay, that we have to admit that. If we want to change, we have to admit that. Andreas mentioned a number of things, and I'm going to come back to that. But first, let me touch on the matter from the soft side of things, overarching issues that I think are creating the biggest obstacles that we have to face, okay? And as governments, not just as the government of Cyprus, as public sectors, there are some misconceptions that become embedded in the way we operate. Number one is that you are a government, so you don't have pressure the same way that other organizations that are operating in competitive markets do to modernize or to deliver against your services or your projects. That's completely false.
I think Mr. Kostevich explained that what they are expecting from the government.
He did, and I think both my fellow panelists covered what I'm going to say, but I'm just putting another angle on it. So, exactly, this is wrong. Okay, if you start from that angle, you are already in trouble. There is competition. First of all, digital policy is social policy. We have the largest customer base that you could have in this country. All of the citizens, all of the professionals, all of the businesses, okay? Correct. And this is the most demanding type of customer. So that's number one. By the way, if you think of the task of attracting investments, yes, there is competition. All countries want to attract investments, okay? So misconception number two, I think, is for governmental departments or public sector organizations, we have grown accustomed to the idea that our world is uniquely complicated and special. It's completely different from everybody else's. So this is then embedded and drives the way we approach the projects. We consider them uniquely complex, and hence we can take our time to implement them. That's the harsh truth of it. So unless we understand that we need to apply the same technologies, the same principles, the same processes that private companies are applying to introduce, to deploy technology, we are always going to be one step behind. So starting from that, I can also mention a couple of more practical issues. Andreas touched on it. Legislation. We are running the country on legislation that is 30 or 40-year-old. I think CYTA had to face this issue
recently,
last month.
Yeah.
That's an issue, okay? Tendering processes. Tendering processes take ages. By the time you get to the award of the tender, the specifications are already obsolete. Okay, so we need to change our tendering process. It cannot be specifications based forever. It needs to be outcome based. We need to make it so that the industry understands what we want to achieve. Okay, and then we have to also admit that our technology department is lacking expertise. Okay, there's huge lack of expertise. There's lack of resources that can deliver across these projects. I mentioned our ambition earlier, okay, but I can only promise so much, okay? There is not enough people to handle all these projects. We need to find ways to bring in assistance from the private sector. Everybody is moving towards managed services. We cannot be the only organization that builds all competence internally, okay? So all of this needs to be embedded in our mindset in order to be able to start being able to deliver across the targets and the objectives. These are the major challenges, I think, and if you let me speak, I will be speaking for a long time, so I'll just stop here. And
Understood, and thank you. It's indeed a difficult journey. What Andreas mentioned earlier, however, is the willingness of this government to change things. And I think we'll start seeing that.
No, just sorry to jump in.
No worries.
My intention was not to make it sound like this is a hard job. Okay, my intention is to bring forward the issues that are underlying the problems that we have been facing for years. Okay, so unless we recognize these problems, we cannot start tackling them. So
you're right, but it's at the same time a difficult job that you need to overcome. It's not an easy thing to do. And here is, you have mentioned something very, very good actually, that you need the support of the private sector to evolve, like contribution from CYTA or the private sector. This provides the space of tech companies to come to Cyprus and support this digitization, to facilitate skill set, to facilitate capacity. Mr. Kostevich, do you think that we have in place the means to welcome new tech companies in the island to support the public sector in this journey? And if yes, how?
Of course, yes. Yeah, Minister Damianou already well described the challenges, and it's fraction what they face actually. And it's, legacy and legislative, there are lots of roadblocks and constraints. However, I got a privilege some time ago. I've been assigned from TechIsland, together with the chief scientist of the island was assigned by President of the Republic, and we worked two in the box to review where we are now with e-government solutions on what needs to be done. We made a quite great brainstorming sessions, multiple brainstorming sessions. I believe we have good vision what needs to be done. However, when we try to apply, we see the challenges. Then it is the obstacles, there are multiple obstacles. However, number one is tendering and procurement processes of a government. In Cyprus, unfortunately, it's like national sport to appeal every single tender and move it to battlefield between lawyers for 2-3 years. And what it means for technology sector, my friends. The technology will be obsolete. So if you win after 5 years and bring the technology, you look your competitive edge. I'm sorry, I don't have words even to characterize it. And okay, this everybody know at government and administration that it needs to be fixed. And it's on your side, we can help. And but we need to know from, what we can do from TechIsland to help on that. Because TechIsland, is already made past successful multiple legislations, and we know that if we are united, we can do things. It's one thing. Second, look, in course of previous 3-5 years, we gained to Cyprus great IT expertise, which is another kind of power, great power, which is not utilized today. There are IT companies with world technologies, which are based out of Cyprus now, or have their offices and their staff in Cyprus, operating out of the country, and in AI, in security, in data center setup, and we work actually on this project in other countries. We set up data centers and cloud solutions. We know how governments in other countries are hunting to become digital hubs in the region, right? Cyprus also could be one of them. Definitely can be. Can we do it as a TechIsland standalone? No way. We see challenges of government as well. What is the solution, my friends? We already agreed. Let's sit together. Let us hear to listen government, understand their needs and challenges, and then see how we can create work groups and bring respective expertise. If it is a RFI issue, to draft tender documents, definitely we can help. Of course, we can draft, you review, but we speed up the processes. Right? We cannot do much on this legal ping pong on the tenders. Here must be will from government and politicians. IT security, there are companies here. FinTech, one of the best FinTech companies we have here in Cyprus. With the modern payment systems, which again, our companies use them all over the world. We have connections through our partnership to world-leading technologies. We can bring them here, but we cannot do it without clear understanding and prioritizing and create work groups. But you must understand, all successful businesses, we are doers. We don't know, and we will quit if it will be blah, 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 blah only. But we can make things together, I'm sure. And as I said, next right step, what we already proposed, we agreed from TechIsland standpoint, and we talked to Mr. Damianou. We just need to figure out timing, understanding you just lead the cabinet and the office. But let's not delay. We can make things happen. We proposed already multiple technologies. We can do more, but we need to understand what is needed. And I'm sure with today's world, and in IT sector, I'm more than 30 years, and I know what is a constant in IT. Constant changes. Every year, new technologies, right? And we have the expertise. In Cyprus combined, we have great expertise already in the sector. Use it, please. That's my word to you and proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Kostevich. Valid points. I mean, we need to keep the line open between the government and the private sector to constantly evolve. Last but not least, in the urgency of time, Andrea, CYTA is transforming. It's transforming itself. You are becoming a company to accommodate the new era. And you are working closely with the government. What is the, let's say, the results of this collaboration? How this can be jointly come to the citizens, to the public?
I think, Gerasimos, hearing Sergey, I hear the frustration of the tech industry of Cyprus that I fully sympathize, and in almost everything I agree with. It is there. it's a frustration that we need to understand, and we need to find solutions.
Correct.
Now, the key here is that the solutions that Sergey or the rest of the tech industry is expecting or hoping will happen, they are not the ones that will happen. And I will explain why. You need to find, through this very complex and dangerous environment, you need to find the right path to get to the result that Sergey and everybody else, including me, expects, and Nicodemos expects. The path needs to be designed by people that understand all the components and the areas that have caused the previous efforts not to bring results. When we say, let's change the tendering processes so that the companies will not go to court for 5 years, it's a dream. It could happen, it's my dream as well, but it will not happen in the next 2 years.
Correct.
And because it will not happen in the next 2 years, it means we will lose more time. So we need to find solutions for now, that work now, not wishing for things that will not happen in the near future. Because technology, I agree with Sergey, is changing all the time, and we need to act now. The solutions are not easy, but they exist.
Correct.
They exist. It needs people and companies that are willing to do things differently and are willing to take risk, and it requires the government also to do things differently and take risk. This, I can say to everyone here, is what is happening right now. From things that I know, this is happening, and I have a very positive feedback to give to people. They should expect that this gap that exists, that is voiced so nicely, so accurately from Sergey, is currently being bridged. There will be projects, implementations, and not words that are going to happen now, in the very near future, because people are thinking of solutions and not just the problems. And I leave it.
Very important, and thank you, Andreas. And I'm sure CYTA is playing the catalyst in this bridging. If we don't have any questions, I would like to thank our panelists. I would like to let Nicodemos, please.
Just a quick comment.
Yes, please.
Apart from frustration in what Sergey said, which was clear and understandable, I also hear a large part of the tech community being truly invested in what we do in this country, and that's priceless, as our Mastercard friends would say. This is hugely important for us, and I want to maintain that and bridge that gap to see how we can find solutions. So I just wanted to point it out because it's a key takeout.
I hear word frustration like several times. I'm not frustrated at all. It's business as usual. We get used to overcome multiple roadblocks. But this one we can really fix together. And we understand that government has certain boundaries and limitations, but I know one thing. If you want things to happen, focus and it will be fixed. Thank you.
Thank you, gents. Thank you very much.